Nike isn't just a sports brand, it's a cultural icon. The swoosh is recognized everywhere, from the shoes on LeBron James's feet to the jersey Ronaldo wears on the world stage. But behind the billions in revenue, the global dominance, and the famous "Just Do It" slogan lies a story of struggle, betrayal, sweatshop scandals, and even near bankruptcy. This is the untold story of how a tiny shoe startup from Oregon reshaped global sports, and why Nike's greatest victories are also shadowed by controversy. The story begins in 1964. A middle-distance runner named Phil Knight teamed up with his track coach Bill Bowerman to start a company called Blue Ribbon Sports. At first, they didn't even make their own shoes. They were importing running shoes from Japan, manufactured by a company called Onitsuka Tiger. Knight sold shoes out of the trunk of his car at track meets. Bowerman experimented in his garage, trying to make shoes lighter and faster, famously pouring rubber into his wife's waffle iron, creating the legendary waffle sole. It was scrappy, messy, and small, but these experiments laid the foundation for what would become Nike. By the early 70s, their relationship with Onitsuka soured. Knight and Bowerman decided to strike out on their own. They needed a new name. The choice? Nike, named after the Greek goddess of victory. The now iconic swoosh logo was designed by a student, Carolyn Davidson, for just $35. At first, Knight admitted, "I don't love it, but it'll grow on me." Their gamble paid off. Nike's early designs, like the Cortez, quickly became popular among runners. But the real game changer wasn't just design, it was marketing. In 1984, Nike made the most important signing in sports history, a rookie basketball player named Michael Jordan. At the time, Adidas and Converse were the big names. Nike wasn't the obvious choice, but Nike offered Jordan his own signature line. The result? Air Jordans. The first pair broke NBA uniform rules, and Jordan was fined $5,000 every time he wore them. Nike gladly paid the fines, because the controversy only fueled sales. By the end of the first year, Air Jordans made over $100 million. Nike had changed the game. Sneakers were no longer just athletic gear. They were fashion, culture, identity. By the late 1980s and 90s, Nike was unstoppable. They signed icons like Bo Jackson, Tiger Woods, Serena Williams. The Just Do It campaign became a rallying cry for athletes everywhere. But behind the glossy ads, a darker truth emerged. Nike faced explosive criticism for its use of sweatshops in Asia. Reports of child labor, unsafe conditions, and exploitation tarnished the brand's reputation. By the late 90s, protests erupted worldwide, with students boycotting Nike gear. Phil Knight himself admitted in a 1998 speech, "The Nike product has become synonymous with slave wages, forced overtime, and arbitrary abuse." It was a wake-up call. Nike was forced to overhaul its supply chain, increase transparency, and improve worker conditions. The scandal nearly broke them, but also forced them to evolve. Instead of collapsing, Nike leaned into innovation. They launched Nike Air Max, Flyknit, and pushed sustainability with recycled materials. They doubled down on athlete partnerships: Kobe Bryant, Cristiano Ronaldo, Serena Williams, LeBron James. And they didn't just sell shoes, they sold stories. Campaigns like "If You Let Me Play" and Colin Kaepernick's "Believe in Something" turned Nike into a voice for culture and politics, not just sports. Some campaigns divided audiences, but that was the point. Nike wasn't afraid to take a stand because controversy sells. Today, Nike is worth over $150 billion. They control nearly 40% of the athletic footwear market in the US, but the empire wasn't built without cost. Behind the billions are constant battles, ongoing accusations of sweatshop-like conditions, legal fights with Adidas, Puma, and other rivals, criticism for fueling sneaker hype culture, leading to violence over limited releases. Nike exists in this paradox, celebrated as a champion of athletes, yet criticized as a symbol of global capitalism at its most ruthless. Phil Knight once said, "The cowards never started, and the weak died along the way. That leaves us." Nike's journey isn't just about sneakers. It's about ambition, risk-taking, and marketing genius. From a trunk full of shoes to the feet of the world's greatest athletes, Nike redefined what a sports brand could be. But its story is also a mirror of globalization, of controversy, of culture itself. When you see the swoosh, you're not just looking at a logo, you're looking at a revolution. Nike's legacy is far from over. The question is, what will it just do next?